Well, that was a way, way, way better week. Now, I get it. Last week were all games on the road, and matchups matter. I do get that, but you can't lose 13-3. Honestly, I think that's kind of why I was so upset, too. This team is up and down more than a toilet seat in a co-ed bathroom. Give them credit, though. They came home, played 3, I thought, pretty good hockey games, and picked up points in all 3. Obviously, there were points in all 3 games where you could pick out some things that were really not good, but on the main, it was a good week.
Well, that could have gone a lot worse. Oh, thank you. Tie the game, go to overtime, lose. Way to tie up the stick in front. Not.
Oh boy. And just like that, 6-5, the Sens win!
That was just bad. And here we go. They got their dub. Not anymore. They got a guy with the best name in sports. A guy with the name Brady.
The week got off to an excellent start for the Sens as they scored 2 goals in 7 seconds in the first period, 2 goals in 53 seconds in the second period, took a 4-1 lead to the third. The Leafs pushed back in the final 6 minutes after pulling their goalie twice, cut the lead to 4-3, but the Sens hung on and won 4-3. Should have been 5-3 because Brady Tkachuk missed an empty net, Connor Brown missed an empty net, Brady Tkachuk and Colin White passed away a chance at an empty net, but they hung on and won. This game could have got real ugly for the Sens, as Matt Murray was scheduled to start, got hurt in warm-ups, and backup Joey Daccord had to come in. I know Daccord had a small bit of a heads up from Matt Murray before warm-ups that there was a possibility Murray couldn't go, but Daccord didn't have the option of getting ready as a starting goalie all day. Kind of got thrown in at the last minute, and I thought he was real strong. He made 33 saves, picked up his first career NHL win, and I thought especially in that third period when the Leafs were out shooting Ottawa 15-4, he was terrific and a major reason the Sens were able to hang on for this win. Obviously, I definitely thought there were times in the first period where the Sens got a little bit lucky, like each of the first 2 goals, which I honestly wondered if it wasn't Christmas morning because boy were those gifts. But I thought Daccord played extremely well when he needed to be, and without him, the Sens probably lose that hockey game. And you know, while it was great to see Daccord play well, especially in that third period, like I said, it was extremely concerning to see the Sens shut down the way they did in that third period. Tkachuk, White, and Brown's empty nets aside, I thought the Leafs just took it to them in that third period. I know the Sens were virtually shorthanded for the final 6 minutes because the Leafs kept pulling their goalie, but at some point, you've got to do something to get the puck in the other team's end and keep them from pulling the goalie. The Sens obviously were able to hang on, but I just can't be pleased with the way the last 6 minutes went. I can be pleased with the end result, but boy, I honestly thought that might have ended up in an overtime game. Unfortunately, after getting a little lucky against the Leafs, things didn't go quite so well against Vancouver. The Sens had a couple of absolutely egregious first period giveaways. Both of them ended up in the back of their net. The Sens spent the rest of the evening fighting an uphill battle. Finally, late in the third period, Colin White ties the game, sends it to overtime, and then in overtime, JT Miller scores and gives the Vancouver Canucks a 3-2 win. You know, the most disappointing part about this contest is the fact that, quite truthfully, aside from the couple of miscues in the first period, the Sens had absolutely no business losing this hockey game. They badly outshot Vancouver, they badly outplayed Vancouver, and quite frankly, if it wasn't for Thatcher Demko, they would have won this hockey game. Now granted, the Canucks had, I think it was 4 goalposts or crossbar, and another puck that rolled over top of the back of the net, but Demko was terrific. This loss left the Sens 0-3-1 against Vancouver so far this season. 4 games, 4 losses. And quite truthfully, the Sens should be 2-2 or possibly even 3-1 against Vancouver this season. Demko has been terrific when the Sens have played him, and despite the Sens outshooting Vancouver in I think every single game so far this year, they just haven't been able to beat Demko enough. The most frustrating thing about a Sens fan, though, is every single time the Sens make a mistake, it always ends up in the back of their net. I don't know if it's like that for every team, but man alive. The Sens turn the puck over, I go, yep, that's going in the back of their net. and within 5 or 10 seconds, it's in the back of their net. And so they come up with terrible plays on the first, second, and third Vancouver goals, and it costs them the game. And then they come out in game number 3, and it continues to happen. The Sens turn the puck over. Brock Boeser gets an excellent chance in the first period. He makes good on that chance less than 2.5 minutes in. The Canucks then score another goal less than 6 minutes later, and the Sens are chasing the game 2-0 in the first period again. And much like the first game against Vancouver, the Sens spend the rest of the evening fighting an uphill battle, finally tie the game, take it into overtime, nobody can score, goes to a shootout. In the 4th round of the shootout, the Canucks win. And in the process of losing 3-2 in a shootout, the Sens lost Joey Daccord, and now we're down to their 4th-string goaltender. Gustafsson didn't play a whole lot, as Daccord got hurt about 5 minutes into the third period, but Gustafsson finished with a near full 20 minutes, made all 8 saves he faced, and really kept the Sens in the game. And then the shootout came, and I thought for sure the Sens were going to get caved in, but Gustafsson was real strong. He made the saves he needed to make, and even the Gaudette goal that beat him, he got a piece of it, just couldn't get it all. So it's definitely frustrating, to say the least, that the Sens are down to their 4th-string goalie and had to claim Anton Forsberg off waivers from Winnipeg, who hasn't played a game yet this season. But Gustafsson showed pretty well against the Canucks. The Sens have 4 days off, so maybe it won't matter. And so that brings me to this week's 3 stars. A lot of the kids had great weeks this week, and so for what I believe to be the first time all season, it's going to be a kid sweep on the 3 stars. And this week's 3rd star is Brady Tkachuk. I thought Tkachuk had a real strong week, and although he didn't show up a ton on the scoreboard, he easily could have had more points than he got. I think he hit 2 posts in the second game of the week against Vancouver, and quite frankly, he was dominant at times. And so that brings me to star number 2. After playing all 3 games this week and looking real strong, star number 2 is Joey Daccord. Things could have easily gotten out of control for Daccord in the first game of the week against Toronto. You're not necessarily expecting to start, and then at the last minute you're thrown into the starter's goal. Goalies are very finicky creatures. They're very big creatures of habit. You throw that whole habit out, and he stands on his head anyway. Then the second game of the week, the Sens dig themselves an early hole, and Daccord has to make every save the rest of the way just to give his team a chance to get to overtime. Then in the third game of the week, he does it again. Sure, he got hurt in the third period of the last game of the week, but quite frankly, the game could have been over long before that. And that brings me to star number 1. This guy seemed to be all over the ice this week. He was setting up plays for his teammates, making plays for himself, and this week's number 1 star is Tim Stützle. As the season wears on, you can tell Stützle is becoming more and more comfortable in the NHL. And I think he's starting to realize that, hey, I really do belong in this league, and I am one of this league's better players. One of Stützle's biggest problems right now is size. The guy gets pushed off the puck too easily, which really affects his ability to be dangerous. But when he has time and space, you see the danger. That pass he set up for Batherson in the first game of the week against the Leafs was just unbelievable. And that came, 2 games after the unbelievable seeing eye pass he hit to Brady Tkachuk on the back door? In the last game of the week, Stützle was everywhere. He was firing pucks from all over the place. And while his shot doesn't necessarily scare me that much, as it doesn't necessarily seem that accurate, keep shooting the puck, it's eventually going to go in. I thought Stützle was dangerous with his hands and his feet this week, and for that reason, he was star number 1. So a quick recap. Brady Tkachuk is star number 3, Joey Daccord is star number 2, and Tim Stützle is star number 1. And that brings me to this week's most disappointing player. This guy has not generated nearly enough offensively of recent weeks, and for that reason, this week's most disappointing player is Evgeny Dadonov. I've harped on this guy for this before, and I'm harping on him again for it now. Dadonov was brought into the Sens to produce, and he is plain and simply not doing that. Dadonov played 3 games this week. He was -3 and had 0 points. You want to stretch that out a little bit? Dadonov's last 16 games, he has 3 goals, 0 assists. And in that 16-game stretch, he's -8. He was brought to Ottawa to be a power play specialist. He has 1 point on the power play this season. For a guy that was brought in to be a dominating offensive player and a power play catalyst, Evgeny Dadonov is just not doing a good enough job, and for that reason, he is this week's most disappointing player. After enjoying a well-deserved 4 days off, not only for the players but for the fans as well, the Sens will return to action on Monday for the first of a 2-game set against the Calgary Flames. The Sens play 3 total times this week. Monday at 7 against Calgary, Wednesday at 5 against Calgary, and then Toronto at 7 on Thursday. The Sens and Flames have played 5 times so far this season, with the Sens currently holding a 3-2 edge. Although, the teams have alternated wins and losses, so it could be Ottawa's turn to lose Monday night. But if we're following that same trajectory, that means they'll win Wednesday night, right? Obviously, I'd like to see the Sens win both of these games, but if they can take 1 out of 2, I'd take that. And then they finished their week with a contest against the Leafs. While the Sens aren't exactly red hot right now, the Leafs are ice cold. And the teams have split the season series 3-3. So if Ottawa's ever going to take advantage of a Toronto team, now would be the time. The Sens did beat the Leafs 4-3 last week and really dominated them for most of the game. So maybe they can do that again. And so with 3 games all at home against teams the Sens have had success against so far this year, I'm going to ask for 3 out of 6 points. Now please give them to me. That's it for this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with anybody you know, and let me know down below. What did you think of the Sens in the last week? What do you think the Sens are going to do in the next week? Let me know, and we'll see you next Saturday after 3 straight home games.